I never thought I'd be the type of person to cry after sleeping with someone, but there I was, sitting on the edge of my bed at 3 a.m., tears streaming down my face, wondering what the hell just happened to me. The kind of friends who could talk for hours about everything and nothing, who knew each other's coffee orders and childhood fears, but somewhere between the late-night conversations and the way she looked at me when she laughed, something shifted. Nothing unusual about that. We did it all the time. But this time felt different from the moment she walked through my door. There was this tension in the air, this electricity that neither of us wanted to acknowledge but couldn't ignore. This wasn't supposed to go this way. We were just friends. Good friends. Her name was Emma. We'd known each other for 2 years, met through mutual friends at this terrible karaoke night, where she absolutely murdered a Britney Spears song and I couldn't stop laughing. She had this energy about her, this light that made everyone around her feel more alive, including me. Because while I was lying there thinking this was the beginning of something beautiful, something I'd been waiting for my whole life, she was already pulling away, not just physically, but emotionally. I could see it in her eyes before she even spoke. But look into those eyes that had become so familiar yet suddenly felt so dangerous. But instead, I whispered, every single day, we're too good as friends to mess this up. The night it happened, we'd been at my place watching movies. I wanted to tell her that what we'd just shared wasn't messing anything up. It was making everything make sense for the first time. When she reached for the door handle, she paused and looked back at me. I was crying because I'd ruined the best friendship I'd ever had by wanting more. That every conversation, every laugh, every casual touch would be tainted by the memory of that one perfect, terrible night. I was crying because I finally understood what people meant when they talked about heartbreak. But now there was this invisible wall between us, this careful distance that felt like a physical ache in my chest. But I could see the regret already forming in her expression, the walls going back up that I thought we'd torn down forever. Her lips were soft, warmer than I'd imagined during all those nights. I'd tried not to imagine them. Everything else just ... disappeared. But then she added, I miss how we used to be, like we were already a memory instead of two people sitting right in front of each other. I felt more connected to another human being than I ever had in my life, because for one night, I got to love someone completely and be loved completely in return, even if she couldn't admit it, even if we couldn't make it last. I was crying because it was the most honest thing either of us had ever done, and we were both too scared to let ourselves have it. Grateful that I got to feel something that real, even if it was just for a moment. One night where everything makes sense and you feel less alone in the world. Grateful that I learned what it means to love someone with your whole heart, even if they can't love you back the same way. It revealed that what we had was never just friendship to begin with. We'd been dancing around the truth for so long that when it finally happened, neither of us knew how to handle it. Every touch, every whisper, every shared breath felt like coming home to a place I didn't even know I'd been searching for. The movie, the outside world, my rational mind telling me this was going to complicate everything. Not just a few tears, but full-body sobs that seemed to come from somewhere deeper than I knew existed. I wasn't just crying because she left. I was crying because I'd gotten a taste of something so perfect, so right, only to have it ripped away before I could even process what it meant. The real tragedy was that we both knew it was right, and we let fear convince us it was wrong. Sometimes it's about loving someone so much that even one perfect night with them is enough to change you forever. Sometimes the thing you want most is the thing you're most afraid to keep. We were halfway through some romantic comedy we'd both seen a dozen times when she turned to me and said, she texted me a few days later, suggesting we grab coffee and talk things through. I wanted to say no, to protect myself from more pain, but I couldn't bear the thought of losing her completely. So I went. Do you ever wonder what it would be like? I knew exactly what she meant. My heart started racing like it was trying to break out of my chest. I should have said no. I should have changed the subject, made a joke, done anything. What happened next felt like the most natural thing in the world and the most terrifying mistake of my life all at once. For those few hours it was perfect. She was perfect. We were perfect. But then the sun came up, and that's when reality hit me like a freight train. This can't happen again, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. I wanted to argue. She got dressed in silence. I watched her gather her things, each movement feeling like another nail in the coffin of whatever we could have been. I'm sorry, she said. I'm so sorry. And then she was gone. That's when the tears came. I was crying because I realized I'd been in love with her for months, maybe longer, and I'd been too scared to admit it even to myself. But mostly I was crying because I knew that no matter what happened next, I would never be able to look at her the same way again. The next few weeks were hell. We sat across from each other in our usual cafe, the same place we'd spent countless afternoons solving the world's problems and sharing our deepest fears. I miss you, I said, because it was the only truth I had left. I miss you too, she replied, and for a moment I thought maybe we could find our way back to each other. Used to be past tense. That's when I realized something that changed everything. I wasn't crying that night because sleeping with her was a mistake. Sometimes the thing that breaks you is the same thing that shows you who you really are. That night didn't ruin our friendship. Looking back now, I don't regret it. Not the sleeping together, not the tears, not even the awkward weeks that followed. The real tragedy wasn't that we slept together and I cried after. And sometimes, crying after isn't about regret. Sometimes it's about recognizing something so beautiful that losing it breaks your heart before you've even fully lost it. I still think about Emma, I still think about that night. And sometimes, I still cry, but now I cry because I'm grateful. Because at the end of the day, isn't that what we're all looking for? One moment of perfect connection with another human being. I got that, we got that, and maybe that's enough. Maybe that's everything.